传承者，天下好过。刀河王，你也别
来一个杀一个，来两个杀一双，
气宇可真是不。
这罗峰是自己得到至宝，
风必摧之，不凡，木秀于林。
催动！
还有多少超级存在会盯上你啊？
吞噬星即将开启，
瞬间就能湮灭一名蜂王不暇，你可千万别去掺和。
Hello everyone, welcome to the SwallowedStar channel. Here, I will share spoilers for SwallowedStar episode 212. Remember, this is based on the novel, so it won't be 100% similar to the Donghua version. Okay, without further ado, let's dive right into the story. After Luo Fang snagged a spot on the human race's highest council, the surprises didn't stop there. He received a crucial message through the ancestral god Sek's World of Glory system. Thanks to his incredible track record, one of the 8 beast gods specifically, the Thunder Beast god is scheduled to come directly to Bauhinia Island to publicly present him with a precious treasure. Luofeng felt incredibly hyped because he was finally getting the highest recognition and honor he'd ever dreamed of, on par with the treatment received by legendary fighters of the past. Inside the palace on Bauhinia Island, the atmosphere turned tense when Luo Feng told his teacher, Master Zhenyan, that one of the 8 beast gods was coming personally to give him a gift. Master Zhenyan was both shocked and skeptical. Even though the ancestral god sect is the greatest power in the universe, they don't usually hand out true treasures just like that. His teacher explained that there's a difference in treatment between members who are fully loyal, like King Zhuchong, and members who are also tied to other alliances like Luo Feng, who belongs to the Hongming Alliance. According to Master Zhenyan's analysis, loyalty is the key factor in how big the rewards from the ancestral god sect are. King Bark Mirror from the Northern Territory Alliance was never given a true treasure, whereas King Zhuchong, who didn't join any other powers, got 2 treasures at once. However, considering the Thunder Beast god himself is coming down with such fanfare, Master Zhenyan is convinced that the gift must be a highly valuable true treasure. Otherwise, it would be a stain on the beast god's dignity. While waiting for that historic moment, Luo Feng used his time to study the loot he snagged from King Bark Mirror inside his world ring. One of the most extraordinary items was the Golden Shako King Armor, a true treasure armor that boasts 3 levels of defensive power. This armor can drastically weaken an opponent's physical attack down to 1/10,000 of its original strength, a piece of gear heavily coveted by universe venerables. But now, it's in Luo Feng's hands. Luo Feng began organizing his defensive strategy by splitting his combat gear among his clones. His original human body wore the Golden Shako King Armor for maximum protection, while the Golden Horn Beast body was equipped with the Swallowing Claws, a set of claw gloves capable of multiplying attack power. With this setup, Luo Feng felt his strength had skyrocketed, especially since he now had an unlimited energy reserve from the remote ocean to recover if he got injured. After waiting for 11 days, an extraordinary natural phenomenon began to blanket the skies of Bauhinia Island. Flashes of lightning filled the air, covering the 5-colored Aurora Lake. A terrifying energy pressure descended from above, even surpassing the power of the island's guardian beast god. Hundreds of millions of heirs on the island were forced to land on the ground, unable to withstand the gravitational burden and the authority of the universe's origin laws brought by the entity about to appear. The figure of the Thunder Beast god finally revealed itself in a truly majestic form, covered in blue-green fur resembling lightning whips and possessing wings capable of stirring up storms in the sky. His vast eyes, like oceans of lightning, radiated the power of origin laws, making no one dare to look him directly in the eye. His presence wasn't just that of a strong fighter, but a living manifestation of the universe's laws, making every inhabitant of the island feel tiny before him. The voice of the Thunder Beast god boomed like thunder, echoing across every corner of Bauhinia Island, calling out Luo Feng's title, Blade River King. With an invisible force, Luo Feng was lifted into the sky before millions of pairs of eyes from various races, all watching with a mix of envy and awe. This moment served as proof of the highest recognition for Luo Feng, where a human now stood on equal footing before a beast god to receive a gift that would change the map of his power in the future. The long-awaited moment finally arrived in the skies of Bauhinia Island, where Luo Feng felt an immense power enveloping him, transcending space and time. Under the gaze of millions of heirs from various races, Luo Feng ascended into the sky like a rising sun to face the Thunder Beast God directly. The Beast God expressed his satisfaction with the progress and strong determination shown by the Blade River King before finally deciding to openly bestow a treasure that left the entire island buzzing with envy. A giant ball of lightning, tens of thousands of miles in diameter, hurtled down from the sky like a meteor. It then dimmed and transformed into an ancient golden mirror as it approached Luo Feng. The massive mirror, hundreds of miles in diameter, radiated a majestic golden light and stopped right in front of Luo Feng as a special gift from the ancestral god sect. Although Luo Feng was briefly confused by the gift's shape of mirror, he accepted the item with the utmost respect and immediately stored it in his world ring before the Thunder Beast God vanished back into flashes of lightning. This event immediately triggered a heated debate among the heirs on Bauhinia Island, who speculated about the function of the mysterious mirror. Many guessed it was an illusion-type true treasure, considering Luo Feng is a spirit reader controller. However, Luo Feng chose to ignore their chatter and went straight back to his palace. Luo Feng's popularity has now truly exploded, as a public gift-giving by a beast god is a high-level recognition that only legendary figures like King Ju Chong could obtain. Meanwhile, news of Luo Feng's victory and the gift he received reached the ears of the Northern Territory Alliance high-ups, who felt the loss of one of their genius fighters. A universe master of four-legged creature with white hair appeared at Venerable Pei Feng's floating palace with a very ambitious goal. The universe master planned to perform a forbidden technique, reversing time to resurrect King Bark Mirror, who had been killed by Luo Feng some time ago. The time reversal process began with a surreal scene where everything in the area moved backward like a movie being rewound at high speed. Amidst the vortex of time, the universe master managed to find the point where King Bark Mirror was still alive and immediately provided energy protection to pull him back to the present. This technique is a direct challenge to the laws of the universe, something only doable by beings with immense power levels like a universe master. The impact of defying the universe's laws caused the universe master to endure a massive backlash, while King Bark Mirror screamed in agony during his body's restoration process. After the energy pressure subsided, King Bark Mirror finally rose from the dead, standing in the palace square in a state of confusion. Although he had been brought back to life, the Universe Master warned him that this second chance was incredibly expensive, as it involved great risk for the savior. However, King Bark Mirror's joy at being alive quickly turned into despair and rage when he realized all his true treasures were gone. The Universe Master explained that turning back time can only restore life, but it cannot bring back valuable items because the cost would be far too high. With a heart full of hatred and madness, King Bark Mirror now had to accept the reality that he was alive again, but without his combat gear, nursing a grudge that burned even hotter against Blade River King. After Master Qilan left, King Bark Mirror finally realized just how steep the price was to bring him back from the dead. Because he is a special life form on par with a Universe Venerable, the time reversal process placed a heavy burden on the Universe Master, even causing serious injury. Venerable Pei Feng gave a harsh warning that the Alliance would not provide free assistance again in the future. So, King Bark Mirror now has to bear the heavy burden of losing all his treasures while realizing how weak he is compared to before. Though consumed by overflowing anger, King Bark Mirror was forced to swallow the bitter pill that he wasn't capable of taking revenge on Luo Feng yet. Venerable Pei Feng emphasized that Luo Feng now possessed power capable of hurting even him, so any revenge attempt would only end in failure unless King Bark Mirror reached the Universe Venerable level. Amidst his frustration and shattered pride, King Bark Mirror could only growl in hatred, while his nemesis was sitting at the peak of glory. On the other side, Luo Feng was inside his world ring investigating the secret behind the mysterious gift from the ancestral god sect, the giant golden mirror. After imprinting his soul, the mirror shrank and revealed its true identity as the Golden Thread Aurora Mirror, a very rare high-level domain-type treasure. Although not categorized as a true treasure, its value is extraordinary, on par with soul-protecting treasures or flying palaces due to its ability to absolutely control the battlefield. Luo Feng was very impressed by the generosity of the ancestral god sect because this domain-type treasure gave him a strategic advantage to decide when to fight or flee. When activated, the mirror releases millions of golden threads and aurora light, covering an area of 60 million square miles, with Luo Feng as the controller of that territory. With this power, he can suppress enemies on his level or even entangle stronger opponents, providing a much higher level of safety in every future battle. Interestingly, this treasure turned out to have perfect synergy with Luo Feng's understanding of the Gold Law, causing its power to multiply many times over when combined with his own law domain. Luo Feng felt that the ancestral god sect was very meticulous in choosing the gift best suited to his natural abilities as an immortal fighter. Although his main loyalty remained with the human race, Luo Feng felt incredibly grateful because he now had a weapon that could trap enemies, preventing them from escaping when he used the self-destruction technique of his remote ocean body. Over the next few days, Luo Feng spent his time quietly studying attack combinations between the Golden Thread Aurora Mirror and his other treasures while waiting for the invitation to the Human Supreme Council meeting. However, that peace was suddenly shattered when his palace door was rudely banged on by his friends. King Seven Sword and King Thousand Rain arrived with panicked and worried expressions, a sight very rarely seen among fighters at the Immortal King level. The three friends broke the news that a huge problem was befalling Luo Feng without him realizing it, as he had been too absorbed in testing his new treasure inside the palace. It turned out that while Luo Feng wasn't accessing the World of Glory, a major event had occurred, placing him in serious danger or a very complicated predicament. Luo Feng, initially confused, began to realize that his exploding popularity and power were now bringing a new storm, ready to test his courage once again on the universal stage. It turned out that King Bark-Mir, whom he had just defeated, had been revived by his alliance through a Universe Master's time reversal technique. Although Luo Feng had anticipated this might happen, he didn't expect his enemy to bring a cunning scheme far more dangerous than just a physical confrontation. King Bark-Mir, harboring a burning grudge, began spreading malicious rumors in the World of Glory to destroy Luo Feng's reputation and safety. He claimed that the main reason for his defeat was that Luo Feng possessed a soul-type true treasure capable of neutralizing his deadly talent technique. Not only that, but he also slandered Luo Feng by saying he had at least 6 other true treasures, including a very rare flying palace type that every great being in the universe coveted. This information immediately triggered a massive uproar because soul-type and flying palace treasures are considered holy items that are rare even for universe overlords to possess. With these rumors, Luo Feng was now viewed as a walking vault, incredibly tempting for high-level predators from various superpowers. The news that an immortal-level fighter possessed wealth surpassing the seniors caused waves of jealousy and greed ready to explode at any moment across the universe. In his hiding place, King Bark-Mir laughed maniacally, witnessing the chaos he created as his cruelest form of revenge. He realized he could never defeat Luo Feng directly, especially after losing all his treasures and special status in the Northern Territory Alliance. Therefore, he deliberately baited the attention of various universe masters to move in, hunt down, and eliminate Luo Feng to seize the legendary treasures claimed to be in his hands. Although Master Zhen Yan felt extremely worried about his disciple's safety, Luo Feng actually showed extraordinary calmness while sipping tea in his palace. He realized King Bark-Mir had fabricated the story about the number of his true treasures, but he had no intention of clarifying or running away. To him, every universe master who came, lured by those rumors, was just a practice target to test his new strength and sharpen his skills on a real battlefield. Luo Feng held firm to the principle that the path to the peak of supreme power must indeed be built upon a pile of his enemies' bones and blood. Instead of feeling threatened, he felt challenged to prove that anyone who dared to trap him would meet a tragic end at his hands. This courage and confidence showed that Luo Feng's mentality had evolved into that of a true warrior who no longer feared pressure from any corner of the universe. However, just as the storm of the Great Hunt began to stalk him, Luo Feng suddenly received an urgent invitation to attend the human race's Supreme Council meeting in the virtual universe. This high-level meeting signaled that Luo Feng's status was now fully recognized as part of the human race's leadership pillars. Now, he had to prepare to face the political dynamics of his own race at the same time the entire universe was getting ready to make him the target of the biggest treasure hunt in history. Luo Feng and Master Zhen Yan finally set foot on Pantheon Mountain, a sacred location in the virtual universe that only opens when the Human Supreme Council meets. The atmosphere there was bustling with the presence of thousands of universe venerables appearing one by one from behind the mountain mist. Although Luo Feng was warmly welcomed by several colleagues like Venerable Nine Flames and Venerable Thunder, he also realized that he had become the main center of attention due to the treasure rumors spread by King Bark-Mir. Amidst the crowd, Luo Fang chatted with Venerable Bloody Wing, a close friend who warned him about the great danger of those rumors. King Bark Mirror had leaked that Luo Feng possessed Soul Type and Flying Palace true treasures, two types of items that are incredibly rare and coveted even by universe overlords. Venerable Bloody Wing explained that even though they are fellow humans, jealousy still exists because Luo Feng's wealth is considered unreasonable for someone who hasn't reached the universe venerable level. This dissatisfaction apparently spread to other major factions like the huge X Dojo, Universe First Bank, and Universe Mercenary Alliance. Many senior fighters felt that the Primal Chaos City leader was showing too much favoritism by giving treasures of that level to Luo Feng while he was still a world master. They felt it was unfair because Universe Venerables who had fought for millions of years didn't necessarily own a single true treasure, while Luo Feng was rumored to have 6 at once. Master Zhen Yan, noticing the commotion, felt worried and suggested that Luo Feng speak to the Primal Chaos City leader to quell the favoritism rumors. However, Luo Feng responded with great calm and maturity, explaining that most of his treasures didn't actually come from the human race's resources but were gifts from other mysterious figures. He believed that the great teacher's reputation wouldn't waver just because of the chatter of envious people, because powering this universe is ultimately determined by unbeatable combat strength. Luo Feng emphasized that he couldn't force everyone to like him, and for him, having enemies or envious colleagues was part of the journey to the highest peak. He chose to let his achievements do the talking and was determined to prove his strength so that, eventually, those naysayers would be forced to pay respect. His focus now shifted entirely to the grand meeting agenda about to begin, which reportedly would discuss something crucial for the future of humanity. The peak moment arrived when 2 giant golden doors adorned with star carvings at the Pantheon Sanctuary slowly opened, accompanied by a booming voice ordering every great being of the human race to gather. In an instant, thousands of Universe Venerables were transported into the incredibly magnificent floating palace hall. There, they were greeted by a giant round table with thousands of thrones prepared specifically according to each individual's power level. Luo Feng finally sat on the throne inscribed with his own name, a magnificent 30-foot seat reserved for fighters at the secondary universe, venerable level. Although he was technically still at the Immortal level, his position in that hall demonstrated the human race's recognition of his combat power as being on par with the high-ranking officials. From his seat, he could see how the hierarchy of human power was arranged, ranging from lower-tier Universe Venerables to the Universe Masters, whose figures were still hidden behind mysterious mist at the end of the table. Inside the majestic Pantheon Sanctuary at the peak of Pantheon Mountain, thousands of great human fighters gathered in an atmosphere full of authority. The room was divided into 5 classes of thrones with sizes reflecting each individual's power level, ranging from Universe Venerables to Universe Masters sitting on giant thrones 3,200 feet high. At the very top, there were 2 black thrones radiating an extraordinary aura, one of which was occupied by a barbaric giant with a huge axe carving, marking the presence of the highest authority in the human race. The meeting briefly heated up when the issue of Luo Feng's wealth was discussed openly by the high-ups. The barbaric giant figure questioned the Primal Chaos City leader's attitude, which was deemed too biased because Luo Feng already possessed a soul-type true treasure since the World Master level. A fierce debate ensued among the Universe Masters where some felt it was unfair if a junior received facilities that even long-serving senior Universe Venerables didn't have. Responding to the unrest, the Primal Chaos City leader provided clarification with his leadership style, known for being very fair and impartial. He explained that of the many treasures Luo Feng owned, only the Shi Wung Wings were a gift from him, while the rest were the result of Luo Feng's own luck and miraculous encounters. This explanation instantly silenced the dissatisfaction of the high-ups, while simultaneously changing their view of Luo Feng to that of a figure truly blessed by destiny to bring progress to the human race. After the tension subsided, the main agenda of the meeting was finally announced, the opening of the legendary Original Star. The Primal Chaos City leader revealed that this moment was a crucial event because the Original Star is the center of the universe, serving as a contested territory for billions of races. This announcement triggered a wave of shock throughout the Pantheon Sanctuary, because the opening of this mysterious place meant that the era of great battles to fight for true treasures would soon begin. The Original Star itself consists of 10,081 planets orbiting the land of origin and is known as the most dangerous yet most treasure-rich place in the entire universe. The paths to these planets will only be open for 1,000 eras, and anyone who fails to exit before the gates close is guaranteed to die without exception. This place becomes a bloody battlefield where even universe masters can fall while fighting for the artifacts that appear there. Along with this announcement, Luo Feng was also introduced to the contribution system for the human race. As a new member of the Supreme Council, Luo Feng's status has now shifted from a genius who is protected and enjoys resources to one of the pillars tasked with contributing resources to his race. Every treasure found on the original star can be exchanged for contribution points to strengthen humanity's defenses and future, marking Luo Feng's first steps as a true protector of his race. The grand meeting concluded with instructions for all human fighters to make thorough preparations over the next 10 years before the original star gates officially opens. Luo Feng realized that his next adventure would be far more brutal than anything he had faced before, as he would have to fight against elites from across the universe. With a burning spirit, he began devising a strategy to utilize the remaining time to ensure he was ready to carve out history in the place closest to the universe's origins. As soon as the Pantheon's sanctuary gates opened, thousands of universe venerables scattered out with faces full of anticipation after hearing the short but dense announcement from the primal Chaos City leader. The meeting indeed didn't last long, because for the high-ups of the human race, efficiency is everything, and only major issues like the opening of the original star are worth discussing. Luo Feng and Master Zhenyan walked out with the crowd, sensing a drastically changed atmosphere as every pair of eyes seemed fixed on the young genius. In the midst of their departure, rumors regarding Luo Feng's wealth heated up even more among other strong fighters. Many whispered that with ownership of at least 6 true treasures, including soul and flying palace types, Luo Feng was merely a walking vault, incredibly tempting for other races in the upcoming original star. The universe venerables doubted his survival skills, considering his power level was deemed insufficient to protect that much treasure from the sights of universe overlords and universe masters thirsty for true treasures. Back on the slopes of Thunder Island, Luo Feng listened to a deep explanation from Venerable Bloody Wing about how brutal conditions were on the 10,081 planets of the original star. That place is a battlefield where even universe masters can die fighting for high-level treasures that appear randomly. Although the risk of death is very real, the allure of peak treasures that can make someone invincible in the universe keeps the supreme rulers daring enough to gamble their lives there. In the middle of the discussion, Venerable Nine Sword suddenly came to visit with an unusually friendly smile, considering he had held very high pride before Luo Feng until now. It turned out his arrival was aimed at borrowing a true treasure armor belonging to Luo Feng to use on the original star. In return, he promised an official contract via the virtual universe and a gift of 10 precious treasures as a token of gratitude if Luo Feng was willing to help him. However, Venerable Nine Sword was disappointed when Luo Feng politely rejected the request with the surprising reason: he planned to dive into the original star himself. The situation became briefly awkward before Venerable Bloody Wing interjected with a joke that he actually intended to do the same thing. Venerable Nine Sword finally understood that Luo Feng was not just a treasure owner, but also a fighter who had the courage to test his strength in the most dangerous place in the universe. Not long after, it was Venerable Gui Yi's turn to arrive, bearing a much more tempting offer to borrow Luo Feng's soul-type true treasure. As the second disciple of the primal Chaos City leader, he offered compensation in the form of 3 true treasures as security and payment after he returned from the original star. This offer was considered fantastic because even for a universe overlord, owning 3 true treasures is an extraordinary luxury, but Venerable Gui Yi assumed Luo Feng would choose safety over danger. Despite the incredibly tempting offer, Luo Feng remained firm in his stance to go to the battlefield himself. He realized that his soul-type treasure, the Tower Pearl, was permanently bound to his soul and couldn't possibly be lent out without risk of death to the borrower. Venerable Gui Yi could only be stunned and give a final warning about how small the chance was for an ordinary universe venerable to get treasure without thorough preparation. But for Luo Feng, the journey to the original star was a proof of identity that couldn't be traded for any treasure. Venerable Gui Yi's departure left a little regret in Luo Feng's heart, but he really had no choice because his Tower Pearl was extremely exclusive and could kill anyone trying to merge it with their soul. Although his refusal created tension that might become a stumbling block in the hearts of the seniors, Luo Feng chose to stay focused on his own goals. For him, the integrity of a treasure that has acknowledged him as master is the top priority, even if he has to bear the burden of a reputation as a junior unwilling to share treasures in critical times. News of the mass rejections Luo Feng dealt to his fellow race members spread very quickly and triggered a wave of cynicism throughout the human fighter community. The majority of universe venerables considered Luo Feng's ambition to dive into the original star as a ridiculous suicide act for an immortal level fighter. They even dubbed Luo Feng a walking vault that would only deliver humanity's true treasures into the hands of enemy races because he was deemed not to have enough strength to protect himself. A sense of deep hatred and envy emerged from senior universe venerables who felt treated unfairly by fate. Those who had served for millions of years to collect contribution points felt offended seeing Luo Feng possessing extraordinary wealth since he was a world master. Many of them were now actually waiting for the moment Luo Feng failed totally on the battlefield, hoping that the bitter reality of the original star would teach a lesson to the junior they considered too arrogant and too lucky. Only Master Jian Yan stood firm, giving emotional support to his disciple amidst the rain of criticism doubting Luo Feng's capacity. Although he decided not to go to the original star, realizing his power limitations, the teacher still praised Luo Feng's courage and stubborn nature, which was very similar to his own. He warned that Luo Feng might have alienated powerful figures like Venerable Bai Feng, but he still believed his disciple could create a miracle if he prepared very thoroughly. Luo Feng himself realized that his current status was indeed at the bottom if compared to the universe masters and universe overlords who would crowd the original star. However, he placed great hope in the hidden legacy of the Sitting Mountain guest, namely the Force Armor, a peak true treasure designed specifically for him. The power of this armor is claimed to far surpass the Shiwu Wings or Star Map and became the sole reason why Luo Feng felt he had a chance to steal victory amidst the siege of the universe's predators. To retrieve that legendary armor, Luo Feng made a long journey toward the Flame God race territory using his flying palace treasure, the ancient Boat Galaxy. This ship proved its greatness by being able to penetrate the dark universe at up to 800 times the speed of light, far surpassing any advanced mechanical or biological ship. During that 3-month journey, Luo Feng continued to mature his battle plans while enjoying the luxury and safety offered by the high-level technology he possessed. After an exhausting journey, Luo Feng finally arrived at the border of the Flame God's secret region, a vast territory inhabited by a strong, independent race isolated from humans. Standing on the deck of his ship while gazing at the alien expanse of stars, Luo Feng knew that this mission to retrieve the Force Armor would be the final test before the original stargates officially opened. With burning determination, he prepared to enter the enemy's den to claim the power that would make him respected, or at least feared, by the entire universe. Arriving in the Flame God's secret region, Luo Feng reflected on the history of the Flame God race led by the Flame Emperor. Although this race originated from human lineage, they had separated and actually acted very aggressively toward the human race by collaborating with archenemies like the bug and demon races. Luo Feng realized there was a deep grudge between the two sides, but his main focus remained on meeting the figure he called Second Senior to claim the legacy promised by their teacher, Zuo Shan-Ke. In a magnificent palace surrounded by eternal flames of various colors, the Flame Emperor, who possessed a giant form thousands of miles tall, sat on his throne. As a very powerful universe master, he was capable of detecting spatial ripples from millions of light years and had known of Luo Feng's arrival from the start. Although he acknowledged Luo Feng as his junior disciple, the Flame Emperor was unhappy seeing Luo Feng's closeness to the human race and felt very reluctant to hand over the Force Armor he had kept all this time. The Flame Emperor realized that his current power position was extraordinary thanks to 3 true treasures gifted by Zuo Shan-Ke, the Flame God Halberd, the original soul, and the Force Armor. Although he was very strong and didn't fear human leaders like the Primal Chaos City leader, he held a deep fear of his own teacher, Zuo Shan-Ke. The teacher was known to have unpredictable abilities and wouldn't hesitate to destroy anyone who dared to betray him, so the Flame Emperor didn't dare to refuse the teacher's order directly. Interestingly, the Flame Emperor was actually wearing the Force Armor behind his black scales, but he could only utilize a small fraction of its power. This was because the armor was specifically designed by Zuo Shan-Ke for his third student, Luo Feng, so it would never acknowledge anyone else as its true owner. Even though he could only access partial power, the transparent armor with intricate carvings was still considered far superior to most other high-level true treasures in the universe. To hold on to the armor longer, the Flame Emperor devised a cunning plan to obstruct Luo Feng's steps without looking like blatant insubordination. He used his power to seal spatial ripples within a radius of hundreds of light-years around his core territory, and hid the universe coordinates inside the dark universe. By doing this, he forced Luo Feng to travel manually, which would take hundreds of years, while pretending not to know that his junior disciple was looking for him. Luo Feng, who initially moved confidently using the ancient boat galaxy, was suddenly halted because he sensed a very strong spatial seal. He tried to teleport multiple times but failed and realized that the location coordinates of the Flame God race had disappeared from his navigation system. This concealment technique was far more sophisticated than anything he had ever encountered, and Luo Feng immediately understood that this was the deliberate doing of his cunning second senior to test his patience and abilities. Although annoyed at being toyed with, Luo Feng was calm enough, knowing that the Flame Emperor wouldn't dare attack him physically for fear of Zuo Shangko's wrath. Luo Feng now had to rack his brain to penetrate the spatial defense lines or prepare for a long, exhausting journey to get his rights. The competition between disciples thus began with a war of strategy, where Luo Feng had to prove he was worthy of the Force armor even though his power was currently still looked down upon by the dweller of that giant throne. Luo Feng casually continued his journey toward the Flame God race territory, even though he knew the Flame Emperor was deliberately hindering his movement. He realized that his second senior brother was very greedy and reluctant to release the Force armor he had controlled for billions of years without right. Although the space was sealed and navigation coordinates hidden, Luo Feng didn't feel rushed because he considered the journey of several hundred years just a short time to meditate while waiting for the original stargates to open. On the other hand, the Flame Emperor, who kept monitoring Luo Feng's movements from his palace, began to feel threatened by the persistence of his third junior disciple. Instead of acting directly, which could provoke their teacher Zuo Shanqi, the Flame Emperor chose a cunning strategy by leaking Luo Feng's coordinates to the entire universe. He deliberately invited hunters from various races to come and finish off Luo Feng, so he wouldn't have to dirty his own hands, but could still keep the Force armor forever with the excuse that Luo Feng died at the hands of another party. News of the leak instantly triggered the excitement of the universe's master thirsty for true treasures, including the third elder of the Mud Frog race, who desperately wanted Luo Feng's soul-type treasure. This figure, disguising himself as a simple village elder, was actually a very powerful universe overlord, and immediately moved to leave his planet for the hunt. Additionally, the legendary nine-eyed mountain entity also woke from its slumber, enticed by the rumor that Luo Feng carried at least 6 priceless true treasures. This news became the main center of attention in the World of Glory information hub and spread widely to the ears of heirs from various major alliances, creating a massive hunting storm. King Bark Mirror, who had just risen from the dead, felt very satisfied hearing this news, considering Luo Feng's decision to enter the Flame God race territory as the most ridiculous act of suicide. He was very sure that this time Luo Feng could no longer hide behind the human race's protection, and would soon meet his end at the hands of predators moving to surround him from all directions. To ensure this assassination plan ran without a hitch, the Flame Emperor summoned Venerable Ba Feng, a universe overlord from the Nine Territory Alliance, who was an expert in deadly illusion techniques. The Flame Emperor gave a strict order to kill Luo Feng without mercy if fighters from other races failed to finish him off along the way. Venerable Ba Feng, feeling very honored to get a direct task from his alliance high up, prepared as the final executioner, waiting for the right moment when Luo Feng started getting cornered by the first wave of hunter attacks. Meanwhile, in the virtual universe, waves of emergency warnings kept coming to Luo Feng from his close colleagues, like King Seven Sword, Master Zhen Yan, and Venerable Bloody Wing. They were all in a panic after finding out that Luo Feng's location details had been spread widely and accurately, down to the smallest coordinate points, allowing enemies to stage an ambush. His friends urged Luo Feng to turn around immediately and flee before the siege of rulers from various corners of the universe closed off all escape routes, as the current situation was considered a death sentence for anyone. Despite realizing that he was now the most wanted target in the entire universe, Luo Feng displayed extraordinary calmness inside his ship's control room. He responded to every panic warning from his friends with a relaxed smile, as if all these major threats had been part of his strategic calculations from the start. Amidst the deadly siege closing in very fast, Luo Feng continued his journey toward the heart of the Flame God race territory, ready to face the storm of destruction to reclaim the Force armor that was rightfully his. So what happens next? Let's wait and see in the next video, guys. Okay, thank you for watching until the end, and don't forget to support this channel with likes, subscribe, and comments. That's all from me, bye.
罗峰是自己得到至宝，
风必摧之，不焚，木秀于林。
催动！
还有多少超级存在会盯上你啊？
吞噬星即将开启，
瞬间就能湮灭一名锋芒不暇，你可千万别去掺和。